Ayo, it's Wise Intelligent, the poor righteous teacher himself, founder of the algorithm where we keep the culture on code. Thank you for tuning in to episode 7 of Shut the Up, a series of short communications where we debunk popular myths circulating in this culture and community that serve no other purpose but to pathologize black people. And myth number 7, we black people are our own worst enemy. Okay, I'm wearing my public enemy hat for this one. And yes, the pun is intended. Shout out to the good brother Professor Gray for the PE hat. But listen, black people being their own worst enemy is not only a myth, but a vicious lie that has been used to justify oppression, criminalize resistance, and obscure the real forces that play in black America's struggles. The myth that black America is its own worst enemy is not just false, it's dangerous. It shifts blame and responsibility from systemic oppression to the oppressed themselves. It gaslights an entire people who have been subjected to centuries of economic sabotage, political disenfranchisement, psychological warfare, and state-sponsored terror. This narrative isn't new. It has its roots in slavery. It was reinforced through Reconstruction, Jim Crow, and the war on drugs. Ida B. Wells, the fearless journalist and anti-lynching crusader, one of my super sheroes, challenged this myth in the late 19th centuries. Ida B. Wells wrote, "The Negro is not the real criminal. He is not a bird of prey. But the men who spread this charge know it is untrue, and they keep repeating it to divert attention from their own wrongs and injustices." The idea that black people are responsible for their own oppression has been systematically weaponized. When black communities organize for liberation, the response is often violence, surveillance, or economic sabotage. Think Wilmington, North Carolina, 1898. Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1921, Rosewood, Florida, 1923, Seneca Village, New York, Little Egypt, North Carolina, or Oscarville, Georgia. These were thriving black communities deliberately destroyed, yet the myth persists that black people can't sustain success. Psychologist, historian, and one of the greatest thinkers of our time, Dr. Amos Wilson, exposed how this myth is reinforced through psychological manipulation. He stated, "The oppressed are made to feel that they are the cause of their own suffering. The system that enslaves them convinces them that they are enslaving themselves." Malcolm X said, "If you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing." That's what this myth does. Mainstream media plays a significant role in this. It selectively highlights black crime while ignoring systemic white-collar crimes that strip wealth from black communities. It glorifies negative stereotypes while erasing black brilliance and resistance. This isn't accidental. It's a deliberate psychological war designed to demoralize and control black consciousness. Clinical psychologist Dr. Bobby E. Wright took it a step further. He argued that the myth of black self-destruction is part of a broader system of racial warfare. He wrote, "The greatest danger facing black people today is the mistaken belief that the system is not at war with them." But let's do the math. The racial wealth gap in America is not due to a lack of hard work. A 2020 Federal Reserve report informs us that white households had 8 times the wealth of black households. Why? Generational theft, redlining, predatory lending, wage discrimination, and the exclusion of black people from New Deal programs like the GI Bill, FHA loans, etc. These were structural decisions, not personal failures. We cannot talk about generational wealth without talking about generational theft. And what happens when black people build wealth? From the bombing of Black Wall Street to discriminatory banking practices that deny black entrepreneurs funding at disproportionate rates, economic warfare is a reality. Kwame Ture, formerly known as Stokely Carmichael, made it clear: the oppressors will never teach the oppressed how to overthrow them. Every time black people have demanded justice, the response has been repression. The FBI's COINTELPRO program infiltrated and destroyed black organizations like the Black Panther Party, not because they were violent, but because they provided free breakfast programs, community health care, and political education. These programs threatened the system by showing black people they could empower themselves. Even today, voter suppression laws, gerrymandering, and felony disenfranchisement target black political power. But when these tactics are called out, we're told that black people just don't vote enough, as if centuries of state violence and disenfranchisement haven't played a role. The truth is, the idea that black America is its own worst enemy is not just false, it's an insult to our ancestors who resisted against impossible odds. It's an insult to the brilliance of our scholars, some of whom I mentioned in this episode. It's an insult to the resilience of our activists and the economic ingenuity of our business leaders. The real enemy has always been systemic racism, structural economic deprivation, psychological warfare, and state violence. The sooner we dismantle this lie, the sooner and closer we'll be to reclaiming our collective power. Download the algorithm app, subscribe to the YouTube channel, share these episodes, discuss them. Most importantly, reject this lie where you hear it. Black America is not its own worst enemy. It never was. And anyone propagating this bullshit should be told to shut all the way the fuck up. Peace.